Black men should not use this platform in order to get guidance. It's a lot of men on here who are looking for something. They're looking for some type of, I don't know, just guidance, in order to, figure out what steps they need to take in their own life, financially, spiritually. Let me not say spiritually, because a lot of men are just not in tune with their spirit at all. Let's just go with relationships and maybe sex, how they deal with women, maybe their money. A lot of men are, looking for that guidance. If you didn't check out that live stream, please be sure to check it out, because I'm definitely speaking about a lot of things that a lot of men could possibly disagree with. Um, but inside of the live stream, I was talking about how the men on YouTube need to look elsewhere for guidance, and not from the men on here who are portraying themselves to be like these amazing leaders. Okay? And inside of that specific live stream, someone came in there and they said to me that the men on YouTube are actually teaching men how to be men. And I said, well, no, what they're teaching you to do is how to be an asshole, not necessarily a good man. And what is being taught to black men on this site is that in order for them to be men or be considered men, they have to devalue women or degrade women. Okay? And so another person brought to my attention is that, well, what are the women on YouTube teaching the women on YouTube? And I said, well, for the most part, as long as I've been on, initially women were doing beauty tutorials. Okay? They weren't necessarily discussing social issues initially. Now they're doing it more. TV reviews, celebrity gossip, stuff like that. But I can say that there are more channels for women on here by women that promote positivity. And as far as the black men go, the black men don't teach positivity to other black men. It's always like some negative type of connotation on top. And the women here on this platform aren't like that. When they do create a platform and it's for women, a lot of the times it's about positivity and inspiration and motivating women to improve. And so, I personally don't really support, and I'm not going to say these women because I've seen some amazing women on this site. I don't support feminism. And I think a lot of people believe that because I'm like super like expecting women to have power and respect. What I don't support is the concept of men and women being equal, because we don't necessarily have like equal like traits. You understand? Like there's certain things that women can do that men can't, and there's certain things that men can do that women can't. And I mean biologically. If we're talking about jobs and equal income and things like that, I might can support that a little bit. But this radical feminism of women being treated equal, I've never agreed with that. But I do feel like women should have a level of respect, and we should be treated, like we're fragile, delicate women. We can be strong. We know how to be warriors. We know how to fight. But I feel like when we are fighting, it shouldn't be us against men. And I feel like feminism supports the concept of men fighting against women, or men, I don't know, like I am aware that men get away with a lot of foolishness that they shouldn't get away with, that women should be taken in consideration. What does it smell? Smell weed. Okay, I figured that it must be somebody smoking weed behind me, because I smell weed. Like I was like, why do I smell weed? But I feel like There are a lot of things that men get away with. There are a lot of things that women get away with, but because they're women, you know. But I feel like women, we just want to be treated a lot better, not necessarily equal. You know, there are some women who fought for equal rights. I remember I was talking to my mom recently about equal rights in a live stream, and we were talking about the way traditional marriage used to be where the man provided for the woman. And I said, you know, nowadays women don't really need that as much as they used to. I mean, it could be a choice, but now women are going out here getting their own bread, making their own money, doing their own thing. So they have money. We have, you know, money and opportunity. It's women out here who are CEOs of companies and executives of companies. So I'm no longer believing that women can't get financial gain. We may have to work twice as harder to prove ourselves, and I think that's why a lot of women do support feminism. But for me, I just feel like men and women will never be equal, will never be the same. We were designed to be different from one another. Not one stronger than the other, but just different. I feel like men are strong in some areas and women are strong in other areas. But as far as men getting onto, you know, YouTube and looking for some type of guidance, and they're looking towards these men on YouTube to be taught how to be a man because they don't have father figures, they don't have, you know, male influence in their lives. I don't think that as a man, should X out the concept of a woman teaching you more about what being a man is if she has experienced what it means to be, you know, a man. Like if she's had men around her, treat her well, you know, show her what it means to be a real man, then it's easy for a woman to explain to you, okay, this is what I am observing about the men around me. But I don't think that women who support feminism or equal rights amongst men and women are the proper women to sit down and try to learn how to be a man from. You understand? Because I am aware that there are women out there who have their own definition of what they believe a man is or a real man is. Because I remember when I was posting 2 weeks ago, I said I was going to do the alpha and beta male videos. So people can, you know, know what my perspective is in regards to the two types of males. Because it's not just two. You have your alphas, your sigmas, your theta, your beta males. Okay, and so I was just going to do a couple of videos breaking that dynamic down. And there were a couple of men that came into my comment section and they were saying things along the lines of, I can't stand when women sit here and talk about what a real man is when they're not a man. And I'm here to, you know, inform men, you know, women have been around men enough. We have fathers, we have brothers, you know, we have uncles, we have male friends. And all of you men seem to be different. Here's my thing. There are always men that are an exception to the rule, but it's easy to generalize men because men like to travel in packs. Men have like this mob mentality that a lot of women don't have. Like women will seriously consider being an individual or a loner before they decide to group with a pack of women. Men, on the other hand, need acceptance from other men to feel like men. So it's easy for a woman to look in the direction of a man or a group of men and generalize because a lot of men act identical just to get acceptance from other men. Women don't usually do that. Like, we'll look at another chick and we don't like her, we don't want her acceptance. Period. If we feel like she's better than her, she's better than us, listen, a lot of times women don't even feel that. I think women have a lot more confidence and security than men do. And we just think differently than men do. And men require acceptance from other men a lot in order to, you know, feel good about themselves or feel confident. So it's easy for women to look over in the direction of a man and look at his behavior and say, hey, you know what, you were trying to gain the acceptance of other men. You know, whether these men are good men or bad men, you're just trying to cling on to whatever pack you want to cling on to, or that who will accept you with open arms, especially if you're a fuck up. You know, like fuck ups like to find whoever will allow them to feel accepted. Like if they do a whole bunch of bad behavior, if a man is not saying to him, listen, you're doing a whole bunch of bad behavior, but instead reassuring them that what they're doing, the fucked up behavior that they're doing is okay or acceptable, this man will feel comfortable with mobbing up with that specific pack of men, whether all of these men are doing a whole bunch of bad shit, you know, or not. You feel what I'm saying? Like a man needs to be reassured that what he's doing is appropriate or what he's doing is right. So my argument in regards to that is simple as a man, if you are on social media looking for some type of guidance from other men, be selective about who you choose, okay? Because majority of the time, you're looking at a poisonous source, and most of the men on YouTube are actually negative, okay? They're bad, like, people to try to emulate. If you are a man and you're on social media, especially YouTube, looking for some guidance, and you turn to a woman for that guidance, make sure that that woman doesn't support feminism, because feminism is equality for men. She could teach you to do something feminine, and you won't be, you know, accepted by another female because you're doing something feminine. I was watching I didn't watch the Oscars last night. What was I doing? Oh, I was doing a live stream last night while the Oscars was on. And so after the Oscars went off, I was on Instagram, and they were posting this picture of this man who had a tuxedo on the top, and the bottom part was a gown. He was a black man. I can't remember. I think his name is Billy. Billy something. Billy, I don't know. Billy, I can't remember. I'd never seen him before in my life. I'm assuming he's an actor. I'd never seen him before until this moment. He had on a tuxedo top part, and the sleeves reminded me of Prince. You know how Prince used to wear his sleeves and used to be like ruffles at the end? Those were the sleeves, and the bottom part was a gown. And there were women supporting this, you know, saying, hey, this is appealing, hey. And then you had other men, like I was looking on Facebook too. It was men out there, and they're like, why is this man wearing a gown and everyone feels like this is acceptable? Women. And I'm thinking to myself, is men out there wearing tight-ass skinny jeans, and no one seems to be complaining about that. It's men out here that's wearing two baggy jeans with their ass all out. We can see the underwear, and everybody seems to be okay with that. But they're not okay with a man wearing a gown. To me, a feminist will support a man wearing a gown because what they want is equality with men and women. Me, as the anti-feminist over here, I support everything in regards to respecting women and empowering women and women going out there getting the respect that they deserve. But as far as being equal to a man, to where I'm encouraging women to be like men, no, I would never do that. I would never do that. And as I'm looking at this man with this tuxedo at the top and the gown at the bottom, I'm thinking to myself, okay, you can wear what you want to wear because, you know, nowadays people are doing their own thing. I support LGBT, you know what I mean? And if he is in fact a homosexual man and that's the way that he has decided to express himself, okay, I'm factoring that in my mind. But a lot of people are saying the reason why this man is behaving like that is because it's not a lot of fuck figures inside of the black community to teach men the difference between what's feminine and what's masculine as classified in society. Okay, and I'm big on not, you know, doing exactly what society wants you to do in order to have a smooth life experience, because I feel like in order to have a smooth life experience, you just have to be a good person, regardless to whether you choose to be homosexual, feminine, masculine, whatever it is. I think you will pull in good energy if you're a good person, you know. And I feel like, as we were talking about in the live stream the other day, negative and positive energy, having both of them is just an equal balance. And I feel like that in regards to a household as well, when you're raising children, when you're raising a son or a daughter, equally having feminine and masculine energy is what will help that child grow up to be a well-rounded human being. I want to teach my son to be a good human being. I am going to teach him, no, women wear dresses, men don't. I don't want to see my son in a damn gown. You know what I mean? And I don't want to see my son being homosexual. And it isn't because I have homophobia or I'm afraid of homosexual people. Like I said, I support LGBT plus. What I'm more concerned about is you putting a target on yourself to where you have all of these people looking at you in such a negative light to where they want to kill you, harm you, hurt you. That's what scares me about homosexuality. But I will never teach my son to not be who he wants to be or who he feels like he is. So with this Billy person walking around with the tuxedo on at the Oscars with the gown out at the bottom, if that's what made him feel comfortable and he felt like that's who he is and that's the expression of who he is as a person, I would not try to stop him from doing that. You know, I can express my concerns, but at the end of the day, when we're discussing upbringing and we're discussing how you raise kids in regards to how much masculinity or femininity is inside of the household, you can teach your kids the best way you can, and still at the end of the day, they have outside influences from outside the household that you got to worry about. They have their own things, their own beliefs, their own thought processes. So as they get older, they decide to do whatever it is that they want to do, regardless to what you're telling them. You know, I have an 18-year-old, and I can say to my daughter a good set of advice. And my daughter, at the end of the day, will still make her own decision, whether it's a good choice or a bad choice. Either I'm going to say, I told you so, or I'm going to say, thank you for making a good choice. You know, at the end of the day, everyone has, their own choices. But there are homosexual men, or there are even lesbian women who had both parents, who had equal feminine and masculine energy in their homes and still ended up being homosexual, still ended up being too feminine or too masculine, because at the end of the day, none of us are all going to agree on the behaviors of people and how they should be. We're not going to all agree that men should behave one way and women should behave another way, because everyone is so different. That diversity inside of all cultures, not just the Black culture, the African American community, in all cultures, everyone is so different and doing their own thing and wanting to be accepted for doing their own thing. You can teach your kid all day long, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. And as they grow older, they're still going to, if they want to, put their lives in danger by driving over the speed limit, driving drunk, smoking weed, being homosexual, being lesbian, And people are like, well, if you teach your kids not to do these things and that these things are bad, they should not do these things. And that makes sense to me. But again, like I said, you have outside influences. I can sit here and tell my son all day long, don't wear a tuxedo on the top blouse and then a gown at the bottom. And then he turns around. I'm looking at this man being praised and glamorized because he's wearing a freaking gown. Okay. And of course, a lot of people, including children, including adults, want some type of acceptance. We all want that in our lives to some degree. Me, I've always been the preacher of be yourself, regardless to who will accept that or not. Do you. You know what I mean? Like, whatever makes you feel comfortable at the end of the day, rock with that. Because everyone else is doing what they're supposed to do for them. And then they turn around and they point in the direction of you and judge you when they got all these skeletons in their damn closet. You know what I'm saying? So I always been the promoter of do you, be yourself, but also factor in the consequences of the choices that you make when you do this stuff. Like, I'll get onto social media, right? I'll get onto my YouTube channel like I've done for the past 8 years, and I'll tell 20% of my life and keep my 80% to myself. 80% of my life I keep to myself because I realize the dangers of other people knowing my private business. So a lot of it, I'm just going to keep to myself. But then I also factor in the consequences of me telling the 20% I've told. Before I tell it I factor in what possibly could happen. And if I've told some stuff, right, and I got some backlash from it that I wasn't expecting, I have to take that L. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have to take responsibility and deal with the consequences of that, just like every other human being out there. So people could say to me, you know, Santeray, don't tell your 20%. Then it's like, okay, well, what the fuck will I have to talk about on my YouTube channel? Like, I gotta, like, I'm putting myself at risk telling the 20%. And that's still a choice that I have made, to be honest about that 20% of my life. And I still woman up to my shit and own my consequences. So at the end of the day, that's all it really ends up being about. You know, if you are a man and you're out looking into this world and you're trying to figure out what type of man you want to be, and you get onto YouTube and you log in and you see all of these black women and you see all of these black men, and you're looking for someone who's identical to you, who's been through your struggles, who's felt your pain. And you see another man, and he's just nagging and bitching and complaining about women. He's telling you to disrespect women. He's calling women bitches, calling women hoes. All this negative stuff about women. But you can relate to this man in regards to some of the struggles that he has had himself. He becomes relatable to you, and then you start mimicking that behavior. So the man you were before you start watching all of this foolishness on YouTube has now become a worse version of himself because of the negativity. That's why it's important that you be selective. Now, let's say you are a man and you get on here and you see a woman and she's, I am woman, hear me roar, feminist, all that, you know, women equal equality, all of this stuff, blah, 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 blah. Still factor in the consequences of that. Still factor in how many feminine traits you will have at the end of the day by watching this feminist woman teach you how to be a man. Factor that in your mind and realize that you are going to have to deal with the consequences of you being excessively feminine in a room full of masculine men, or a room full of men who aren't going to be able to accept you because you're too feminine, or in a room full of men who are disrespectful towards women and you were taught to respect the fuck out of us. You have to deal with the consequences of all that. And all of us are so different from each other. You'll never be able to be too feminine or too masculine enough to be able to please someone. So my advice to any man who is on any social media platform, the best place for you to learn how to be a man, if you don't have a man in your circle or around you, the best place to go to learn how to be a man is to go to a woman who isn't feminist. If you go to another man who also didn't have a father figure, you're fucked in the game. And 9 times out of 10, these men who are out here on YouTube teaching men how to be men didn't have father figures either. So it's the blind leading the blind. So my advice, this is just my advice, you're willing to take it or not, you know. If you're on social media and you're looking for some type of guidance as a man, first of all, you need to build a relationship with God, okay? God should always be the first that you go to for guidance. I don't care what you call it, God, the universe, source. Just respect the fact that there's a power higher than your own. And go to that power and ask for guidance. Ask the universe for guidance. Okay? You don't have to ask another human being. But if you feel like asking the universe is too omnipresent or too supernatural for you, or it's too spiritual, or maybe you're atheist and you don't believe that there's a power higher than your own and you need a person to go to in order to ask or in order to get some guidance about being a man, don't go to another man who is consistently complaining about his experiences with women. That will make you worse of a man, okay? What you need to do is find you a woman who is not feminist. If you find a woman who is feminist, she's going to teach you how to be too feminine and almost emasculate you, okay? So you have to be careful of that, all right? So that's my advice. Like I said, I don't support feminism. I'm not a feministic, like, you know, like I said, I do believe in women should have power. I'm doing my power and respect tour luncheon forum thing. I'm doing that in May in Charlotte. And next month, I'm supposed to do it in Atlanta, but I believe we're going to move that date down to July because it was Easter, like Easter. I'm probably going to be in Atlanta for Easter, and the Black Woman Power Respect Tour was scheduled on Easter, so I canceled it. I was like, this might be a bad idea to do Easter, so I'll probably do it on July. But if you are a man looking for guidance, go to God first. If you don't believe in God, find you a woman who is not feminist. A woman, I don't mean traditional thinker. I don't mean old school thinker. I mean a woman who is truly your friend and can see the difference between masculine energy and feminine energy, and will speak to you with a level of fairness. Because sometimes I feel like when I'm talking to a feminist, she's not being completely fair in regards to men. And sometimes when I'm talking to men who are so anti-woman, and disrespectful towards women, they're not being fair to women. So, as a man, be selective about where you're getting your guidance from. Protect yourself, because you can be steered in the wrong direction. Ladies, we have so much positive stuff to cling on to on YouTube. Like, we have an abundance of positivity, and it's amazing. I love seeing it, because I'm like, look at this girl, she doing her thing. Look at this girl, she doing her thing. Because it's women out there who have channels where they're dogging the fuck out of men. But it's more women out there who have like these positive channels, and they're trying to empower women. They're not necessarily pushing forth this feminist message, but they are trying to empower women. So that's impressive to me. So, I think we have more than enough positive channels for us. Oh, and what's amazing that I saw this morning, I saw that Derek Jackson was going on this tour, and it was called the Love Summit. It was him and Steven Speaks, and what's that other guy? It's three of them. And they actually be in Los Angeles this week, and I think they'll be in Atlanta in May. They're going to DC as well. They have different tour dates, but it's called the Love Summit. And it's amazing because, the three of them, I can't even remember that last guy's name. What is his name? Damn it, I can't remember. Fuck. Anyway, they're teaching women some good shit.
Well, anyway, you know
And
who it is.